First tonight, the spiral of violence that has left 3 men dead in Cambridgeshire and 2 other people seriously injured in apparently random knife attacks more than 100 miles apart.
Police are linking the murder of a man whose body was found in a Fenland ditch on Saturday with the killings of 2 others discovered yesterday and with 2 street stabbings in Hereford on Tuesday.
Well, the latest bodies were found in a dike close...
It was March 29th, 2013 in Peterborough, England. By the end of this day, 3 men will be dead. But no one knows that yet. They go to work, they answer phones, they make plans for the evening. One of them will trust the wrong person. The second victim will innocently open his own door. The last man will never see it coming till it's too late. The woman responsible moves through the day in plain sight, drinking, talking, and laughing, while silently waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Nothing about the day signals what is coming by nightfall. What happens next will not unfold over weeks or months. It will happen within hours, quickly and methodically. Joanna Christine Dennehy was born in St. Albans, Hertfordshire, in August 1982, and grew up in nearby Harpenden, England. Family members later described her as bright and capable at school, a girl with obvious potential. But by her teenage years, she drifted sharply off course. She dropped out of education, became involved with alcohol and drugs, and entered volatile relationships. At 16, she ran away from home with her older boyfriend, John Traynor. By 17, she was a mother, a role she did not welcome. Rather than embracing parenthood, she reacted with fury, later admitting in psychiatric reports that she resented both the responsibility of her children and the people around her. After the birth of her first child, she began taking drugs and self-harming. After a second child, Traynor left with the children, fearing for their safety. Dennehy drifted to Peterborough in Cambridgeshire, where her life became increasingly chaotic. There, she became entangled with Gary Stretch Richards, a large man with a criminal past and drug addiction of his own. Dennehy allegedly funded her habits through sex work and accumulated a history of offenses. She was arrested in 2012 and diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder and obsessive-compulsive disorder, spending time in care before being released. At the time she began killing, she was under probation supervision. A later review would conclude her supervision was mishandled, with missed appointments and inexperienced staff. On the 19th of March 2013, she spent the afternoon drinking with 31-year-old Łukasz Slaboszewski, a Polish man she had casually befriended. She lured him home with the promise of sex. There, she blindfolded him, stabbed him through the heart, and dumped him in a wheelie bin. He was killed sometime between the 19th and the 29th of March. Investigators would later reveal she even brought a 14-year-old girl she had befriended to view the body in the bin, a detail that chilled the courtroom. Just 10 days later, in a grimly swift continuation of violence, Joanna Dennehy would go on a rampage. On the 29th of March, John Chapman, a 56-year-old man, and her housemate, was murdered after being stabbed multiple times. Hours later that same day, her 48-year-old landlord and lover, Kevin Lee, was also killed. But not before Dennehy convinced him to wear one of her black sequined dresses, a humiliation she later admitted was deliberate. All 3 men were stabbed in the heart.
But police say this is now a murder inquiry. The bodies were found only about 40 meters down the track behind me, which runs off a road called Thorny Dyke. Even in the context of the Fens, this is an isolated part of the world. There is a farmhouse...
Their bodies were discarded in ditches around Peterborough, sparking national headlines as the Peterborough Ditch Murders. Lee's body was found the next day, the 30th of March, near Newborough. Slaboszewski and Chapman were found on the 3rd of April near Thorney. To a consulting psychiatrist, Dennehy confessed she found the act of killing Moorish. that after the first murder, she had got a taste for it. She described it as entertainment and claimed she targeted men specifically because she didn't want to kill women, especially mothers. Soon after, Dennehy convinced Stretch Richards to drive her west to Hereford, more than 100 miles away. In Hereford, on the 2nd of April 2013, CCTV captured her in a shop on Green Lane shortly before the next attacks, laughing and joking, even as she continued toward violence. There, she moved through the streets selecting victims at random. Two strangers, John Rogers and Robin Bereza, were stabbed in broad daylight. Both men were out walking dogs. Bereza was stabbed in the shoulder and chest. Rogers was stabbed around 40 times. Both survived and would later testify. She had independently chosen the Hereford victims as she walked the streets, showing no restraint, no emotional trigger, and no consistent pattern, a randomness that deeply disturbed investigators. Just 48 hours after the Hereford attacks, police closing in on the Peterborough murders discovered Kevin Lee's body and identified Dennehy as the prime suspect. She was arrested with a startling calm, laughing, joking, and even flirting with officers, an unsettling composure given the scale of her crimes.
Going down for Sunday Road? Would you be cheery if you got for attempted murder? I wouldn't, but... No, but I was just smiling. You're a decent copper. I'm back on that. Yes, I'm really caught, sir.
Bail was denied, and she remained in custody until trial. Held on remand at HM Prison Bronzefield, authorities uncovered detailed escape plans in her diary. She intended to kill or seriously injure an officer, cut off a finger, and use the amputated finger to defeat biometric security. The plan led to prolonged segregation from September 2013 to September 2015, and later litigation in the High Court over the conditions and paperwork governing her isolation. In November 2013, Dennehy pleaded guilty to all 3 murders and 2 attempted murders at the Old Bailey.
But suddenly, when asked how she pleaded, Joanne Dennehy, who's 30 and from Peterborough, stood up and said that she pleaded guilty to the 11 charges against her.
She also admitted offenses relating to preventing lawful and decent burial. On 28 February 2014, Mr. Justice Spencer sentenced her, describing her as a cruel, calculating, selfish, and manipulative serial killer, and imposed a whole life order, meaning she will never be released. In sentencing remarks, the judge described the overall seriousness of the 3 murders, the attempted murders, and the disposal of bodies as placing the case among the rare ones warranting a whole life order. She became only the 3rd woman in British history, after Moore's murderer Myra Hindley and fellow serial killer Rose West, to receive such a sentence. Even behind bars, Dennehy continued to court notoriety. In 2018, she applied to marry her cellmate, Haley Palmer, who was serving a 16-year sentence for robbery. When Palmer's family objected, the pair attempted suicide in a pact. After Palmer's release in 2018, she reportedly still intended to marry Dennehy, and described messages from Dennehy framing them as both psychopaths headed down a dark path together. In 2019, she was transferred to HM Prison Low Newton in County Durham. Upon her arrival, reports emerged that she had threatened to kill Rose West, prompting West's relocation for protection. Officials later disputed the specific allegation, but the move itself highlighted the level of risk Dennehy was considered to pose, even among Britain's most dangerous prisoners. As Dennehy's sister said after the trial, she likes people to know she's the boss. Joanne Dennehy's crimes resist simple explanation because they were neither impulsive nor delusional, but deliberate and sustained. Her background reveals instability, neglect, and untreated pathology, yet her own words strip away excuses, framing murder as choice rather than compulsion. The speed and ease with which she escalated forces us to confront how quickly violence can become identity when notoriety replaces meaning. When a killer seeks fame through violence, are we witnessing mental illness alone, or a darker reflection of what society chooses to reward and remember? I've presented the 3 crimes. Now, the jury, that's you, delivers your verdict. The case reopens in the comments.